Welcome to the Easy Peasy Methodcast, the podcast that's here to help you break free from porn the easy peasy way. No guilt, no struggle, just a new perspective that makes quitting feel natural. Because real freedom isn't about giving something up, it's about gaining back everything porn has taken from you. The podcast where we break down the science of habits, addiction, and the inner workings of the human brain. Today we're diving into Wired for Intimacy: How Pornography Hijacks the Male Brain by William Struthers, a book that unpacks how pornography rewires the male brain, shifting the way men engage with the world, themselves, and their relationships. But we're also going to blend this with insights from Easy Peasy, a book that approaches quitting pornography with a completely different mindset. Because here's the thing, breaking free from pornography isn't just about willpower. It's about understanding why it has such a grip in the first place, and then stepping outside the illusion entirely. Let's start with the basics. Why does pornography have such a powerful hold on the male brain? Struthers explains that men, biologically, are particularly susceptible to visual stimuli. Unlike other forms of media that rely on storytelling or emotional buildup, pornography directly hijacks the brain's reward system, flooding it with high-definition sexual imagery that it was never designed to handle. This isn't just about personal preference. This is neuroscience. The male brain is hardwired to detect visual cues related to reproduction, and pornography exploits that system, overloading it with stimulation that everyday life simply can't compete with. And that's where the trouble begins. Because every time a man views pornography, neural pathways are being carved into his brain, like trails in a forest. The more he watches, the more those trails become highways. The brain starts to default to pornography for pleasure, stress relief, or even just boredom. Over time, this rewires how the brain processes arousal, associating it with screens instead of real intimacy. And once that highway is built, it's difficult to take an off-ramp. Struthers makes a fascinating comparison here. He describes the male brain's response to pornography like an HD television. After prolonged exposure, regular life, the ordinary interactions, the subtleties of real relationships, start to feel like a low-resolution screen. Dull, uninspiring. Because pornography is designed to be visually intoxicating, more stimulating than real-life intimacy, it can train men to find actual relationships frustratingly slow, effortful, even uninteresting. And here's where things get even more concerning. Struthers explains that prolonged exposure to pornography doesn't just change the way men see women, it changes the way they see all women. The brain, constantly reinforcing these patterns, starts to shift how it perceives women in general, viewing them less as individuals and more as objects of sexual consumption. This isn't just a metaphor. Brain scans show that frequent pornography use weakens the areas of the brain responsible for empathy and emotional regulation, meaning the effects of pornography aren't just confined to the moments when someone is watching. It bleeds into their everyday life, influencing interactions, expectations, and emotions. This brings us to the deeper issue: intimacy. Real intimacy is more than physical closeness. It's trust, emotional vulnerability, and a deep sense of connection. But pornography teaches the brain to expect instant gratification, which is the exact opposite of what real intimacy requires. Over time, this can make relationships feel frustrating, even boring. The patience required to truly connect with a partner starts to feel like a chore. And there's a darker side to this. Struthers highlights how pornography often creates a cycle of shame and secrecy. Many men feel guilty about their consumption but don't know how to stop. And that guilt, it often leads to avoidance, avoiding deep emotional conversations, avoiding the discomfort of real intimacy, and ultimately, avoiding true connection. It's a paradox. Pornography is often used as a coping mechanism for loneliness, yet it deepens isolation. The more a man turns to pornography, the less he engages in real relationships, and the lonelier he becomes. So, what's the way out? Struthers suggests that breaking free isn't just about stopping pornography. It's about rewiring the brain. Just as pornography creates neural highways that reinforce the habit, new pathways can be formed through intentional actions. He recommends engaging in activities that require patience and presence, mentorship, meaningful relationships, even spiritual practices. By redirecting attention away from artificial stimulation and toward real connection, men can reshape their mental patterns. But let's bring in another perspective here: the Easy Peasy Method. This book approaches the problem from a completely different angle. Instead of seeing quitting as a struggle, it argues that quitting is easy. if you change your perception. Here's the key idea. Pornography, like any addiction, creates the illusion that it's providing something valuable. But in reality, it's just a trap. The more you consume it, the more you reinforce the craving. And Easy Peasy compares this to smoking. Smokers don't keep smoking because they love it. They do it because they're stuck in a cycle of craving and temporary relief. They think cigarettes help them relax, when in reality, nicotine creates the stress it claims to relieve. The same is true for pornography. It doesn't actually satisfy anything. It just temporarily silences a craving that it caused in the first place. So what's the trick? The moment you realize that pornography offers nothing, that it's a lie, you stop wanting it. And when you stop wanting it, quitting isn't about willpower. It's about seeing clearly. Here's where Wired for Intimacy and Easy Peasy align beautifully. Struthers explains that many men turn to pornography not just for pleasure, but as an escape from negative emotions, boredom, loneliness, stress. Easy Peasy calls this the little monster, an illusion that porn solves these problems when, in reality, it creates them. Once you recognize that, the power of the addiction starts to dissolve. So what does this mean for breaking free? First, awareness is key. Understanding how the brain works, how addiction forms, and how pornography exploits natural biological systems helps to demystify its hold. Second, rewiring the brain is necessary. Struthers emphasizes the role of community, mentorship, and genuine human connection in this process. Easy Peasy insists that quitting becomes effortless when you stop believing that pornography offers any real benefit. And finally, learning to sit with discomfort is a critical piece of the puzzle. Struthers explains that one of the biggest challenges for men quitting pornography is tolerating negative emotions without their usual escape. But here's the truth. Growth happens in those uncomfortable spaces. It's not just about stopping an action, it's about learning to fully engage with life without numbing out. So as we wrap up this session of the Methodcast, let's leave with this thought. The real battle isn't just against pornography. It's for the ability to be fully present in life. Struthers reminds us that the brain is malleable. Just as it has been shaped by unhealthy patterns, it can be reshaped toward deeper, more meaningful connections. And when that happens, breaking free isn't just possible, it's transformative. So if you're listening to this and thinking, this sounds familiar, or I've been trying to quit for years, here's the good news. You can rewire your brain. You can step outside the illusion, and you can rediscover what it means to be fully engaged with real intimacy, real relationships, and real life. And when you do, quitting isn't just possible. It's easy. If this spoke to you, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share it with someone who might need a little light today. You're not alone. We're rewriting the story together. Until next time, stay strong, stay open, and remember, freedom is your birthright.